The movie starts with Dras, a skilled sniper, who's stationed among the trees, getting ready to carry out an assassination. She waits for the target's plane to land, and the moment it touches down, she takes the shot from a very long distance, kills him instantly. Mission accomplished. At the same time, we're introduced to Levi, a former sniper who's been retired for 4 years. He always starts his day watching the sunrise over the ocean, writing poetry, and living a clearly isolated life. One day, he receives a summons from a US military base. He goes there and meets Barso, a high-ranking officer. She tells him she knows all about his past, and that it was the psychologist's report that got him retired. She asks why he never tried to come back, and he replies that he didn't have a reason to. She offers him a special mission where he'll spend a long time without interacting with anyone, which suits his loner nature perfectly. Meanwhile, Dras is in Lithuania, visiting her father who's sitting by her mother's grave. She tells him she feels guilty about her last mission, but he reassures her that the man she killed was a war criminal. She also tells him she's been assigned a new mission by Russian intelligence, so she won't be able to stay close to him. He tells her his health is getting worse and that he's ready to die. He begs her to make this her last mission so she can finally live a life worth living, one she can be proud of. Next, we see Levi on a military plane headed to an unknown location. He parachutes into a forest and walks until he reaches a foggy canyon area. There, he meets Jasper, the soldier he's replacing, who tells him he's spent a whole year there without seeing a single person. Levi's mission is to watch and secure the western side of the canyon from a lookout tower. When he asks about the tower on the eastern side, Jasper tells him there's a Russian sniper there, and that communication between them is strictly forbidden. Jasper explains that the canyon is surrounded by mines and defense systems. If there's any breach, sensors will trigger automatic explosions to wipe out everything inside. He emphasizes that Levi's job isn't to stop anyone from getting in, it's to stop whatever's inside from getting out. Levi is surprised by how much security is in place, and when he asks what kind of creatures they're dealing with, Jasper says they're called the canyon creatures, and no one knows if they're animals or aliens. He also says that back in the late 1940s, the US Army sent entire battalions into the canyon. Each battalion had 2,400 soldiers. But sadly, not a single one came back, and to this day, no one knows what really happened. After that, the American and Russian armies agreed to secure both sides of the canyon to prevent the creatures inside from getting out. Levi doesn't buy the story, he sees it as just a myth the guards tell each other. It's full of holes and makes no sense. Still, this becomes his new assignment in the area. Afterward, Jasper says goodbye, happy to be done with his mission. Levi heads up to the tower, makes himself some food, and writes a poem in his notebook. Jasper reaches the helicopter that's supposed to take him home. A rope drops down to pull him up, and he's smiling, finally heading back. But suddenly, someone shoots him. He falls and dies. Then we see that Barso is informed they've taken care of him. That's when we realize, Barso is eliminating everyone who finishes their service at the tower, just to keep the canyon's secret hidden. Levi starts living alone in the tower. Every 30 days, he goes down to inspect the surveillance system and make sure the turrets are working. He sends in a report saying everything's fine. But we can see he's feeling isolated and empty. One day, while looking at the bookshelf, he grabs a book and notices some writing on the wall behind it. Turns out, it's from the guards who were there before him, including a captain named Bradford who wrote this line in 1947 from a T.S. Eliot poem. Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. Levi looks through his binoculars at the opposite tower and spots Dras, the other guard. But they're not allowed to communicate. One night, he's jolted awake by thunder. He calms down and notices Dras sitting alone. In November, Dras celebrates her birthday by herself. She lights a candle on a piece of cake and writes on her board that it's her birthday. Levi replies, "Happy birthday," and they slowly start getting to know each other through their boards. Dras asks if he knows how to dance. Levi says he's only good at aiming. She challenges him, and he proves he really is a great sniper. Suddenly, they hear a strange sound coming from inside the canyon. Dras asks what he sees, and Levi spots the creatures trying to climb up. He shoots, sets off a landmine, and Dras starts shooting too. One of the creatures reaches her tower, she shoots it and survives, but with minor injuries. The next day, Levi goes down to fix the landmines. Dras watches him from a distance. That night, she cries in front of a photo of her father. Levi sees her and asks if she's okay. She says it's been a rough day and wishes Levi was there with her so she wouldn't feel so alone. Levi thinks about it, rereads Bradford's quote on the wall, and it pushes him to take a risk. He decides to cross to the other side. He ties a rope to a missile shell and fires it toward her. Meanwhile, Dras had her eyes on Levi through the scope, watching him prepare himself. She quickly climbed down from the tower, tied one end of the rope to a tree so he could cross over, then looked back through her scope and saw him holding up a sign that said he decided to have dinner with her tonight. Dras smiled, finally happy she wouldn't be alone anymore. Levi started picking flowers and getting ready, then used the zipline to slide to her side. When they met, he gave her the flowers, and she was genuinely happy to see him. They had dinner together in the tower and got to know each other better. Levi told her about his missions, and they started talking about the nature of the canyon. Levi was curious about the creatures below, but Dras warned him that too much curiosity leads to sadness. She remembered what her father used to say about the desire for truth. Dras asked why he agreed to this mission. He said it was because he felt lonely, and if he weren't lonely, he wouldn't have risked his life like this. Dras understood his feelings. That night, she played some music, and they danced together. Levi told her he writes poetry and even wrote a poem for her, but said he'd read it to her after the mission. The next day, Levi left to return to his tower. While zipping back, some creatures began climbing up the rope. One of the mines exploded, snapping the line, and Levi fell into the canyon. Dras was shocked, but she quickly grabbed her parachute and jumped in after him. She landed in a river and fought against the current until she got out. At the same time, Levi was hanging from a tree, unconscious, while strange spider-like creatures crawled toward him. He woke up, fired at them, but fell onto the rocks. Then, one of the creatures caught him and started to devour him. At that moment, Dras showed up, shot the creature, and saved him. They walked together through the canyon, heading for the eastern wall, hoping to find a way out. But the creatures attacked them while they were riding horses, so they fought them off with weapons and managed to survive. Later, they realized Dras had dropped her climbing rope, so they had no way to scale the wall. They decided to follow the river south instead. Levi noticed one of the creatures was wearing a military uniform. That's when they realized those creatures were the soldiers from the 3 battalions that entered the canyon long ago, 2,400 men in total. They never made it out, and had been transformed. They kept moving and reached an area filled with tree trunks shaped like skeletons. Eventually, they found an abandoned church with the corpses of soldiers who had cyanide capsules with them. It became clear they chose death over staying down there. Finally, they reached a fortress near the eastern wall and entered cautiously. Levi found a film reel labeled, "May God Forgive Us." When they played it, it showed a scientist from 1946 talking about a secret alliance during World War II. They had been developing a biochemical weapon in that canyon before the Nazis invented the atomic bomb. But an earthquake hit, releasing the chemicals. The people down there got infected and mutated into strange creatures from the radiation and failed experiments. Unfortunately, the experiment they were working on to develop a weapon backfired and created a huge threat in the canyon. Anyone exposed to the radiation turns into a canyon creature. Levi told Dras they had to get out quickly before they turned too, but then he noticed a modern computer in the area. When he powered it on, he uncovered something shocking. The US military had been monitoring and developing this experiment to create super soldiers. That's why they protected the canyon and refused to destroy it. They wanted to preserve it. Levi read a file about sensors spread all across the canyon. They were programmed to trigger an instant explosion if tampered with. If that happened, the nearest safe zone would be 4 kilometers away. They got ready to leave, but Dras fell into a trap. A rope yanked her, and a creature dragged her across the ground until she passed out. Levi tried to save her. We saw Dras hanging in front of the creature. When she woke up, she kicked it and broke free. She tried to burn it with a flaming stick, but it didn't work. At that moment, Levi showed up, attacked the creature, and saved her. He hugged her and checked if she was okay. Then they saw the name, Captain Bradford, on the creature's corpse, the same man who wrote the poem on the wall and was guarding the tower back in 1947. Later, they found a vehicle and drove to the eastern wall. They reattached the rope that had snapped earlier, but creatures showed up and attacked them. Dras opened fire until she ran out of bullets, and Levi tried to hold them off, but his ammo ran out too. Dras started the car, but the creatures grabbed the rope and began climbing up. Levi pulled out his sword and started cutting them down, and Dras used her axe. They fought hard, and when Levi almost fell, he caught himself and threw a flare at them. The fire spread and burned the creatures. After that, Levi and Dras cut the rope, climbed up the canyon, and returned to the tower. They started treating their wounds. They were worried about the radiation and said that if 5 days passed without symptoms, they'd be safe. Levi told Dras he finally understood why he was chosen for this mission, because he was alone and no one would miss him. But after meeting her, he had something to live for. Dras suggested they run away together to a safe place in France. Levi agreed, but said they should wait 5 days to make sure they're okay. After that, he planned to destroy the canyon and end this nightmare of an experiment. Before leaving, he told her he loved her and went back to his tower. Then Levi contacted Parceau over the radio. She tried to accuse him of going down into the canyon because the sensors detected someone entered one of the rooms. But Levi denied it. Parceau claimed it was Dras who went down and told him to eliminate her. Levi pretended to agree. Then we see Parceau giving orders to a strike team to go kill Levi and Dras, because now they were a threat to the whole experiment. At that moment, Levi and Dras were communicating through their message boards when they heard the sound of a helicopter. Levi immediately realized Barso was coming to wipe them out, so he shouted at Dras to run. At the same time, we see Barso coming out of the helicopter with the unit sent to finish off Levi and Dras. She heads to the west tower but doesn't find Levi there. She also learns that the soldier guarding the other tower ran away, so she orders drones to open fire on them. We see the drones chasing Levi and Dras through the forest, and each tries to run off in a different direction. They have to get 4 kilometers away from the canyon because Levi decided to destroy the sensor devices to cause a big explosion. The drones shoot at Levi, so he tries to dodge and blow them up. Meanwhile, Dras takes cover from the plane's bullets and shoots back until she blows them up. Then they keep moving. Each of them aims their rifle at the sensor devices along the canyon and shoots, blowing them up one by one. When Barso hears the alarm whistle from the tower, she realizes they have 1 minute before the explosion. She runs fast with the unit to the helicopter, and they take off to escape. Levi and Dras try to get away from the place. Barso orders the pilot to take off quickly, but when the explosion happens, everything is destroyed, even the helicopter doesn't get far. Levi runs, but the explosion's dust knocks him down the waterfall. Dras sees the explosion and realizes Levi probably died. Later, we see her alone, waiting for 5 days to pass to make sure she's not affected by the radiation. She finds a message from Levi in her clothes, which he left without her noticing. He wrote that she should open it if he doesn't return after 5 days, and read it at sunset. After 5 days, Dras is safe from the radiation. Once she's sure she's okay, she travels to France to the place she told him about before. She waits until sunset and opens the message. It's the poem Levi wrote for her, and she's deeply touched. In April, we see Dras working at a restaurant serving customers, living a calm and safe life. Suddenly, she's surprised to see Levi sitting at a table. He wrote that he decided to have dinner with her today. She's very happy and tells him he's late. He replies that he was injured and had to make sure no one was watching. She tells him she has a job for him at the restaurant, on the condition he writes her a new poem. They get close, happy, and the movie ends. If you liked this summary, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support our effort. See you in a new summary.